However, Willow River's knight in shining armor was also a suspected bank robber and drug smuggler. But the folks in Willow River don't mind a bit.
Yeah, nice guy. Good heart.
He's kind of a legend.
We hear that that Bill Cooper was kind of a legend around Willow River area. Is that true?
He was.
Until authorities can determine who's who's dead, and who William Cooper really is, it's anybody's guess. In Willow River, KDLH Channel 3 News.
Good health means more nowadays than it used to, combining emotional, spiritual, social, along with physical aspects towards well-being. And today, more than 80 coaches and administrators in Districts 26 and 27 got together to talk about how to use sports to prevent drug abuse. The workshop was put together by the Hazelden Cork Sports Education Program and the Minnesota State High School League.
This program by the schools and their Minnesota State High School League is designed to look at the chemical use and to learn how to help young people and be of support to them. And so they're talking about how parents can be supportive through the school activity program, how the students can help one another, how the coaches and advisors can be of help.
And while today's youth are more widely exposed to drugs such as cocaine and crack, the main concern is an age-old one.
Right now, the biggest problem in the school, as I see it, relative to chemicals, is not the pot and some of the other drugs, it's alcohol. It's weekend parties and the heavy use in the summers and all of this. This is the problem right now.
The group was told that youngsters need support from all places and were taught skills on how to recognize and deal with potential problems.
If they're seeing behaviors that are getting in the way of performance or learning, that they'll feel comfortable in saying something and not have to feel that they need to be an expert or to feel that it's none of their business.
Tonight at 10, how school officials in the area will begin stepping up their intervention efforts. Janet Carvin, Channel 3 News.
Iron World USA drew over 100,000 visitors this summer. 26% were from out of state and 41% were from outside the Iron Range area. Iron World officials say the facility also pumped over $3.5 million into the local economy. But winter's on its way and Iron World has prepared for a drop in business. It's open 5 days now instead of 7. The admission charge has dropped from $5.25 to $3 for adults, and some outdoor activities like the tour train have been shut down.
Most of our programming during the winter and fall and spring will be centered around the Interpretive Center, its beautiful story that is told there, and of course the Research Center and the Ethnic Arts Center.
Most winter visitors are from the Twin Ports and Iron Range areas, and Iron World officials say they're planning a special event for any hardy local football fans. This Sunday, the Viking-Chicago Bear football game will be shown in the amphitheater on 2 big screens. The day will also include a tailgate party that's scheduled to begin about 10 Sunday morning.
So if you don't have a ticket to Sunday's sold-out game at the Metrodome, these seats are still available, and you can enjoy the game the way it used to be enjoyed outside during the days of the old Met Stadium. But if it's a day like today, you better bring along an extra blanket. At Iron World, Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News. Okay.
Work began early today to free the Irvin from her temporary berth. By mid-morning, she was on her way to Minnesota Slip. It's there she'll stay. Officials have every reason to believe the Irvin will be as successful in her new home as she was in her old one.
Approaching $200,000 in revenues, close to $100,000 in visitors. Unbelievable.
It cost nearly $400,000 to acquire and renovate the vessel. With a full promoted tourism season next spring, officials expect the ship to pay for itself. The Irvin and its move are part of a grand plan by the Duluth Convention Center Board and the City of Duluth to link the ore boat to the new Duluth Convention Center.
This is a floating billboard, and it's a very, very high profile as to the attractiveness of the convention center, the uniqueness of Duluth, and what we offer to convention goers.
In the meantime, other renovation work will continue both on the ship and on the slip. Tours of the ore boat are expected to continue tomorrow.
As I say, the numbers are still good. As long as they hold up, we'd attempt to stay open our regular schedule.
Aside from the local tourist draw, the Irvin has caught the eye of officials in other Great Lakes ports, some of whom have visited Duluth to check out the ship. It seems the idea of putting such a large freighter on display is catching on across the Great Lakes. Kurt Budlow, Channel 3 News.
Not long ago, things looked pretty bleak for these workers. An Alabama company had bought out the parent company of this small Chisholm drill bit manufacturer, and it looked like 80 Iron Range workers would soon be out of a job.
Blunt is a billion-dollar company out of Montgomery, Alabama, and they need cash. When they purchased Omark, they bit off a little bit more perhaps than they could chew financially.
But John Dozen and 3 other executives of the small subsidiary weren't ready to throw in the towel. For one, the Chisholm drill bit plant is state-of-the-art, the most advanced of its kind in the country. Other corporations wanted to buy it just for its equipment and client list. But Dozen said the plant had an even better selling point that others failed to see.
I think that there's a work ethic on the Iron Range that is rare, truly rare, to other parts of the United States. People put their noses down and their butts up, and they'll give you an honest 8 hours.
With some help from the state and several very large loans, the 4 executives bought the plant for $5 million. Workers took a pay cut to help out. They hope to make their money back in profit sharing in the future. And with teamwork and a little luck, Dozen says the plant should be able to make a go of it. So in Chisholm, this plant still employs 80 people. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
A task force operating through the direction of the state legislature is gathering input into the formation of a Minnesota Academic League. And today, area educators and administrators voiced concerns and questions about the proposal. Task force member Jean Olson says there are many unanswered questions, but she thinks the idea would benefit students.
And at the same time, I think that that individual deserves all the hoopla and all the recognition that a young athlete or musician or thespian enjoys.
Forming an academic league within the existing high school league is an option the task force is also considering, but not all are anxious for academics to be under its umbrella.
I think there are a great number of concerns, Janet, and one of them is that because the high school league has been seen primarily as a sponsor of athletic events, there's some fear that some of the more negative things associated with competition might become associated with these other activities.
The coordination of academic competitions and activities is the goal of the task force, but just what form that coordination will occur will continue to be shaped through more public testimony until a report is submitted to the state legislature for its 1987 session. Janet Carvin in Channel 3 News.
An example of this was developed in our organization, and that's related to foundation. It's called Minnesota Foundation.
Iron World USA is preparing itself for the winter. The facility's first summer was a very successful one. Over 100,000 people passed through its gates, and over $3.5 million was pumped into the local economy. But winter means fewer visitors, so the facility has closed down some of its summer activities like the tour train. The Interpretative Center, the Ethnic Center, and the Research Center will be the focus of winter planning.
It's very difficult to describe or to compare winter months to the summer months because we're only open 5 days a week in the wintertime.
Besides being open fewer days, the facility has dropped its admission price from $5.25 to $3 for adults. Special activities will be scheduled all through the winter. This Sunday, the Viking-Chicago Bear football game will be shown on 2 big screens in the amphitheater, and no game would be complete without a tailgate party. This one will start at 10 Sunday morning and will include a Crazy George look-alike contest and a prize for the most inventive tailgate activity. Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
Duluth Cap will insulate and weatherize 300 homes this year to help lower the fuel bills of low-income people. And it will give direct fuel assistance to nearly 5,000 people who can't pay their heating bills. But each year the amount of money they receive from the federal government is shrinking.
It means an elderly widow who last year received $830 is going to receive $650 this year.
The ability of CAP to provide these services is directly related to politics on Capitol Hill. Each year their funding is at the mercy of a Congress trying to come to grips with the federal budget deficit. Officials are always unsure how long they'll have money to keep the energy assistance program in operation.
Certainly throughout this heating season, we know we've got funds committed through this heating season. After that, we don't know. It's going to come from people continuing to say to their representatives that these programs are needed.
John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
Pieces of life, pieces of memories. That's what Quilters is about. Through the patchwork patterns of the quilt, 7 women relate their memories of life on the prairie in the late 1800s. The musical opened last evening at UMD and runs through the 26th. The show pays tribute to this country's pioneer women.
It connects with today, with contemporary women, because the quilts are functional and warm and protective, and also pieces of art as well as pieces of lives.
Area members of the North Country Quilters played a big part in the production of this musical. Each of the quilters made one 24-inch block, some of which consisted of 150 pieces of cloth. The 16 blocks translate into 16 scenes. Each symbolizes some aspect of life, from weddings to births and to deaths.
At the very end, we see the entire life put together in the entire quilt.
The record-setting Broadway musical is entirely different from most musicals in that there is truth and history in what is said, yet the entertainment of a song and dance show remains. The UMD season opener is a guaranteed hit, and theatergoers will be pleasantly surprised at how fast-paced and enjoyable Quilters is. Debbie Nerby for Channel 3 News.
In deciding how much money goes to whom, the Douglas County Board's Finance Committee took up a request from Middle River Health Facility. If the board passes the committee's recommendation, the nursing home will get $286,000 to cover some expenses for this year and next.
Well, our population has been averaging 117, 118 over the past few years. Just recently, the population has gone down somewhat, and I guess that's the main reason why we're asking for some county support right now.
But Benedict also says high wages paid to non-professional union employees make it difficult for Middle River to compete with private nursing homes. These workers are paid between $6 and $7.15 an hour and belong to the American Federation of County, State, and Municipal Employees.
Middle River is required to negotiate with union employees under law, resulting in higher salaries. And the higher salaries make up 45% of the facility's budget.
Union officials are negotiating a new contract now, but local president Shelley Amos says the workers would rather go into arbitration than make contract concessions. Still, Middle River has other plans to keep it from continuing in the red.
We're starting with the Medicare certification process right now, and we have in this particular budget money set aside for some remodeling projects for the Alzheimer's unit and the hospice unit. So that's something that will probably get started in 1987.
Additional services, hopefully, would mean additional dollars. In Douglas County, Kathleen Chalikian, Channel 3 News.
Justin Thine and Terry Van Quickelberg suffered accidents. As a result, they are both quadriplegics.
They were being provided with a 24-hour live-in attendant care on rotating shift basis. Because the service that was providing this was not paid through the government, for various reasons, some their fault, some the government's fault, they had to go out of business, thus ending the 24-hour attendant care. Maybe about a
The
block
closing of
and a half
Northland
down
Quality
Golden Crest,
Healthcare of
and,
Nashwauk
we worked
occurred on
with them.
Wednesday. The women that were working with Justin and Terry are volunteering their time, but they are now out of work and cannot keep this up for long. If something isn't resolved soon, the men may be forced to return to nursing homes. Neither wishes for that.
When you're living on your own, the independence is, it's great. You know, like I choose what I want to do, you know, whether it be school or, you know, what I want to eat, what time I want to go to bed, what I watch on TV, anything is my choice.
Why did this happen? The government will only allot so much for a person living outside a nursing home, and they make it difficult to get.
What they're saying is that if it costs us more than $2,000 for you to stay outside of a nursing home, we're going to say you have to be in a nursing home or another institution that offers the same situation.
The Center for Independent Living, Justin and Terry, will continue to seek solutions to this problem until it is resolved.
It's like setting up a brand new fire department. You have all your new equipment, men to run it, and then you don't give them any water to fight the fires. You know, it's worthless. It's somebody just isn't following through, you know, from start to finish on some of these programs.
One of the nurses said it best. They will never live typical lives, but this is as close as the two men will get. Save the nursing home beds for those who need them. In Hibbing, Debbie Nerby for Channel 3 News.
Are those your kids or nieces?
on the land. On the 3 persons left the ship.
Why did they leave, do you know? Where did they go?
To emigration.
How many, were they 2 men and a woman?
Now?
Yes.
Now is 2 men and about 28 men.
Okay, who left? Who left the ship?
Third engineer and cook. And wife, third engineer.
Duluth Economic Development Commission.
Are you not going to say the bid figures on the first? There isn't really a bid figure, it's on for a proposal. This one contains a check.
Some advertisement. 1544.
The Duluth Emergency Food Shelf is stocked with staples contributed by local churches, businesses, and community groups. But an increase in emergency food needs have made cutbacks necessary in food distribution. Thus, the holiday drive has begun, in which a goal of $25,000 is hoped to be reached by Thanksgiving.
So we are spending between $10,000 and $15,000 a month on purchasing food and giving out about $40,000 worth of food a month to approximately 1,000 families a month.
The 1,000 households served is up from about 600 just 2 years ago, and many who find themselves at the food shelf, laid off or unemployed, never thought they would be there.
But I think probably the majority of people we help here are people who have not had a very good track record with employment and simply don't have the opportunity to become employed with the skill levels that they have.
It's not the holiday season yet, but officials here at the emergency food shelf say they need donations now, not only of money and food, but also of volunteer time to assure that the 1,000 area families will indeed have happy holidays. Janet Carvin and Channel 3 News. The Citizens for Educational Freedom think Minnesota schools have a monopoly on education. Currently, a family must move or pay a price to educate their children outside the school district in which they live.
And there's no correlation that we can see between the plat number of your house and either your learning ability, your learning interest, your value system and the other things that are all part of education.
With a $60,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Education, a survey of 400 Minnesota families said they want more choices by a ratio of 2 to 1. And Twinkle says they'll approach the state legislature this year for a pilot program in 6 Minnesota schools. But opposition to the idea is great.
Basically, the public education system is opposed to a voucher plan that would provide dollars for private schools. And I think there would be opposition even on a pilot basis if that is the voucher plan.
While freedom of choice is the theme for those supporting the voucher system, many in public institutions think the choice to attend a private school should still be there, but just not at the taxpayer's expense. Janet Carvin, Channel 3 News.
The search warrants were executed at Neil Bort Catering, McLean's Restaurant, the Black Bear Restaurant and Lounge, and the Ballroom at the Graceland Plaza. All are either owned or operated by Superior businessman Cinto Westman. What was confiscated is an undetermined amount of surplus government commodities, mostly cheese. Westman himself declined to comment on camera, but he did tell us that the commodities were left over from his catering firm's involvement with USDA-sponsored food programs like school lunch and senior citizens programs. In fact, he said some of the commodities had been in his freezers for 10 years, even though his company's involvement with USDA-sponsored programs ended in May. Westman explained the commodities' presence in his other businesses' freezers by saying it was randomly stored there when he moved out of his old warehouse here in West Duluth earlier this fall. USDA officials would say little about the incident, other than to confirm the raids did take place and the matter is still under investigation by federal and state authorities. Jeff Potts, Channel 3 News.
St. Louis County is just one of a few in the region that has had difficulty passing a budget in the face of federal and state cutbacks, along with heavily burdened social service programs. And State Auditor Arnie Carlson thinks the state should offer a $20 million pool to bail out the 6 Minnesota counties whose budget reserves are depleting.
Carlson is correct in the fact that we have a very severe problem, and I'm not opposed to his solution, but in fact I would support it because of our particular problem here. But I know it would be very difficult to get broad support in the legislature for it.
St. Louis County Commissioner Gary Doty says the county would be thrilled to receive such assistance. But realistically, Doty thinks if the state would pick up a higher percentage of general assistance, it would help all Minnesota counties, including those determined to be distressed.
We feel that taking care of people because of unemployment is a statewide problem, not just a local county, individual county problem, and that's why we're proposing that.
The state auditor plans to approach the legislature along with Governor Rudy Perpich for the plan, but Senator Gustafson thinks the state and county must look further for a long-term budgetary solution.
The bottom line is that a drastic restructuring of our tax and spending policies in St. Louis County has to be done, and it has to be done soon. And I think that the county board is trying hard, but unfortunately, I think they've got to try harder.
Janet Carvin, Channel 3 News.
A decision on whether or not to go ahead with the second expansion at Duluth Miller Hill Mall was put off for at least another month. Commissioners on Duluth's Planning Committee decided not to approve or disapprove expansion until they receive more information from mall developers. The Commission has three main concerns at this point. The first centers around residents on Chambersburg Avenue.
Chambersburg Avenue lies just behind where developers are proposing to build the Miller Hill Plaza. Residents here are concerned about water runoff, excessive noise, and depreciating home values.
I would like to see something put in there about this. Some kind of a bond, performance bond, that if property values decrease within so many years, the neighbors be compensated. If the noise can't be taken care of, additional money is needed, be put into effect. And the same thing with this water runoff. They're saying it's not going to be a problem. It's a problem now.
Commissioners are also concerned about how the expansion might affect Miller Creek. Area residents and environmental experts want the creek preserved. The third thing commissioners are taking into consideration is the economic impact the expansion would have on retail development outside the Miller Mall area.
That
plaza expansion of Miller Hill Mall and the talked about strip development along Central Entrance in the area of the former ready mix plant will have an impact on this existing small retail-owned businesses in our city.
The Planning Commission will meet again next month to discuss the expansion proposal. Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
Ely, Minnesota is a small town nestled deep in the North Woods. It is also the birthplace of the dream that led Will Steger and his expedition to the top of the world.
Ely is an unusual place in that there are a lot of real unusual woods people and dog sledders and outdoors people here. So I think there are a lot of credits historically for Ely.
In a way, the Steger expedition symbolizes the spirit of the people who settled Ely and the spirit of those who continue to live in this North Woods town.
Oh, I think the sort of person that would go on an expedition of this nature is someone that looks for kind of out-of-the-way places and is an individualist.
Bob Mantell planned and trained with the expedition for 3 years. He traveled with the group until his feet became severely frostbitten and he felt he had to drop out.
I sort of felt like I was leaving my family because as a team we would work together and live together so closely for a number of months, so it was extremely difficult to say goodbye to them.
Almost everyone in Ely is keeping a close eye on the Steger party, and after the expedition receives its honors from the world, it will come home to a hero's welcome. In Ely, I'm John Schottel for Channel 3 News.
Richie Skirbitz is 13 years old, and like many 13-year-olds in this part of the country, Richie loves to hunt. But hunting for him is a bit more challenging than for other boys his age. Richie is only 2 feet tall. He was born without legs. He has one arm with 2 fingers and a thumb, but those handicaps haven't slowed him down one bit. With the aid of a special hunting stand set up about 500 feet from his house and using a crossbow, Richie was able to bag his first deer.
Instead of shooting from in a tree stand, I put him on a picnic table that he'd be shooting directly at it, and it's not a downgrade shot.
Came out here and my dad left and he when he left, I always listened for him. When he left, I heard something. And it finally came in, but it wouldn't come into the apples. Instead, it just grazed right there. And I knew if I missed this one, my dad would really get mad because we've been practicing for an hour. And so I picked up the gun and shot.
Richie then sat still for about 25 minutes before calling his dad with a small horn.
I heard that thing really scream away. Well, I ran out there. Asking him, hollering when I was going, did you get one? Yeah, I got one, Dad.
Richie and his younger brother and 2 sisters are foster children. They live with Ron and Joanne Running at Comstock Lake. Joanne says Richie is an inspiration to them all.
He's always very happy, and he is what he can do amazes me. And if I get to feeling sorry for myself, I look what he does. He's got 100 times more reasons to feel sorry for himself, and he doesn't. And then it inspires us to go on.
Richie says that someday he'd like to drive a semi-truck and preach the gospel. And after talking with him, you'd believe he can do just about anything he sets his mind to. Near Aurora, Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
Emmett Kelly, clown. The 2 words are synonymous. Kelly Sr. died in 1979, but his son carries on in the same tradition.
He really made clowns famous. He is the most famous world-renowned clown. Now, some people may argue about that, but he passed the license, he passed his name on to his son, and Emmett Kelly Jr. clowns for him, and it's always done in mime. He's a sad character. His character name, Emmett Kelly Jr.'s character name, is Wearin' Willie.
Kelly spent several hours in Duluth on Tuesday signing autographs, Emmett Kelly figurines, and other collectibles at Papillon in the Fitgers complex. He tours year-round, but is very picky about the cities he stops in.
He's very selective, and it's more of a privilege to be chosen, and he chose Papillon as place he wanted to come to tour. He wanted to come to the great city of Duluth, and he thinks it's wonderful up here.
Kelly also has his own road show, the Emmett Kelly Circus. They tailor that to whatever size the buyer wants. This appearance may not have been a three-ring circus with trapeze and elephants, but the people who met the man all seem to agree. Wearin' Willie is the best. Debbie Nerby for Channel 3 News.
Probably that ever will be. Not very talkative, are you? How long?
Phil Lundberg has been raising birds for about 7 years, and his collection has grown from 3 to over 50. Most of them are finches, but he also has about 6 parrots. Lundberg has always enjoyed birds, but it wasn't until 1979 that he decided to put them to work.
I think initially it was a business idea. I was looking for a gimmick, some type of thing that would set me apart from the rest of the laundromats in the city.
The birds have increased business at the Chester Park Laundromat at least 25%, although Lundberg does admit some people find an occasional feather or two a bit offensive. The finches are kept in a long cage above the washers and dryers, but the parrots are brought out from separate cages when Lundberg is nearby to keep an eye on them. He says birds are very affectionate, and finches, for example, can be purchased for as little as $5 or $10.
Birds are excellent companions, particularly for older people. Older people like something that will talk to them sometimes. It will just be a friend, and things you can, take out and go for a walk with.
Lundberg feels a laundromat should be a fun place to go, but even if you don't like birds, a trip to the Chester Park Laundromat will at least be an interesting one. Lisa Molosky, Channel 3 News.
The doors to the Le Coudray main office reopened at 11 this morning after a 15-hour takeover. Reservation residents belonging to Solidarity Group for Better Government took over the building last night. They also turned away patrons at the Reserve's Bingo Palace, according to Reservation Administration. The protesters say they didn't get answers to questions about tribe layoffs and financial problems after 2 days of picketing.
We didn't get no answers on it whatsoever in the 2 days that we were walking around with picket signs, and we just didn't get no answers.
The administration says the group had every opportunity to talk peacefully, and the protesters, they say, are breaking both U.S. law and tribe bylaws.
If this small group refuses to recognize the tribal process they helped establish to bring their issues to the people, we find it necessary to seek the full protection of the state and federal law.
The administration also says the actions of a few are hurting the whole tribe. The Sawyer County Sheriff's Department was called in to negotiate an end to the standoff and to protect people and property. But those staging the takeover are open to a variety of charges, from disorderly conduct to obstructing justice.
Today's decision to unlock the doors means that the protesters want peace. On the Coudray Reservation, Kathleen Shalikian, Channel 3 News.
Every day in Mrs. Cheney's second grade class, the students learn sign language from an interpreter. Not because it's a required part of the curriculum, but because one of the students in the class is deaf.
We're all learning to sign so we can communicate. Calla will be here till she's in 7th grade. And all of these kids will know how to sign, and they will, be able to communicate with her. That's why we're doing it.
Calla Strange has been deaf since she was 2 years old. Her handicap has given these students a reason to learn a new and fun way of communicating.
Something you can learn for the rest of your life, and you can take out books and learn about it, and then once you learn about it, you can keep it in your mind for the rest of your life so that you can use it a lot. You can talk to Calla and talk to other kids without other kids bugging you, and and Mrs. Cheney doesn't hear you when you talk.
While signing is fun for her classmates, it's also fun for Calla. Chris Olson is her interpreter, and with her help, Calla's able to understand her classwork.
I like to be here.
There was a birthday in Mrs. Cheney's class today, not one of the students, but Mrs. Olson's, an important part of Calla's class. Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
Candy Pogorelic says this is the best her yard has looked in the 2 years since she and her husband moved into their home in Thompson. Her house, like many others in the area, sits on a bed of red clay. The result is a mess when water and sewage from several septic systems in the area try to flow into ground that isn't porous enough.
It's been horrible living here. Our yard has been encased in sewage and water ever since we've moved here. We've done everything to try to get rid of it, but it just won't go anywhere. It just keeps coming in.
The Pogorelics' problem is complicated by other factors. The man they bought their house from installed a system his contractor said would never work. No soil testing was ever performed to determine if the area was suitable for a septic system, and city inspectors didn't check the system before it went into use. When the Pogorelics began to have problems, the town sewer inspector was reluctant to help out.
All he told me was, "I'm retiring, don't bother me."
Officials from Thompson Township didn't want to comment on camera because the Pogorelics have filed a lawsuit against the town. They did tell us they've taken several measures to divert water away from the area, but to admit responsibility for the problem would mean the township would have to fix several systems.
The township hopes to put this area on a city sewer system and take care of the problem. But with a $300,000 a year annual budget, Thompson is having a hard time coming up with the cash to do it. They hope to go to the state or federal government to get the dollars they need. John Schottel, Channel 3 News.
There isn't much we can do. It takes us, at 50 miles an hour, it takes us over 7,000 feet to get stopped. They figure a car in the same speed would take them about 250 feet to get stopped. And 25% of the accidents are caused when there's flashing lights on the crossing. So it's got to be telling you something that people aren't obeying the laws when they are getting hit.
All together now. What are you doing?
Stop!
All right. And what?
Look both ways.
And what else?
Listen.
That's it. Stop, look, and listen, don't you?
There were 134 car train crashes in Minnesota last year. 13 people were killed, 87 were injured. The winter months seem to take the highest toll as motorists battle frosty windows, loud car heaters, and slippery roads. Distractions and inattentiveness are main causes.
People who live around railroad tracks drive across them every day, and they disregard stop signals, stop signs, and that's when accidents occur.
So putting up another stop sign or signals, that might not necessarily be the answer?
It might not be. Education is probably the biggest thing. Let the people know that there's a chance that a train is going to come through, and if it does, it can't stop. It takes, several, sometimes up to a half a mile for a train to stop at an intersection.
Today's symposium on railroad safety at the Duluth Depot promoted the 3 E's: engineering safety, enforcement of crossing laws, and education. By practicing them, we'll all be around to enjoy the beauty of a passing train. Michelle Lee, Channel 3 News.
For Verlin and Valerie Kruger, their canoes are more than just a way of transportation. Their canoes for the next 2.5 years will be their home.
It was a dream. It was, boy, we can do this, and look at this. Verlin drew a line on the map, and from the Arctic to South America, what's out there? What can we see? Let's go. Can we do it?
We enjoy canoeing, but we wanted the satisfaction of doing more than just enjoying ourselves.
The Krugers started their two-continent trip in June. It will cost them $200,000, most of which they'll get from sponsors. So far, the journey has been smooth, but far from routine.
It's an adventure every day and just about every minute. We don't know when the weather's going to change or what's going to happen around the next bend of the river or around the next point on Lake Superior. We've had moose jump over my canoe, and as we were paddling close up to shore, we startled him, and he came out of the brush.
The couple averages about 30 miles a day in their canoes, depending on the waters that can keep them paddling up to 14 hours a day, something they say is worth every minute.
I think if you're willing to stretch yourself, there's growth and development satisfaction that takes place in any endeavor.
They'll be there in February of 1989. Linda Hammond, Channel 3 News.
Beauty salons are places to get away from the hustle and bustle of daily life, a chance to catch up on styles and get the latest look. But what's this? Fudge next to the shampoo and other beauty paraphernalia? That's right, fudge.
We found that 85% of the average working woman today or housewife visits a beauty salon at least once every 6 weeks. And then once we got into the actual research of it, we found out that 50% of these people go at least once a week.
And that means a steady clientele, many willing to spend $4.95 and a few minutes of time to treat the family to the taste of homemade fudge. You can only find Joanna's Fudge in the beauty salons. Initial sales are good, and as the market expands, sales are expected to follow.
We are getting inquiries from all 50 states now as to what the options are for a person to get into this.
Joanna's Fudge got its start this summer in Duluth when George Wolf's recipe and patented process were picked up by Joanna's Foods. The hard part of making the fudge is done ahead of time by these workers. The last steps are done by the customer. If you can boil water, you can make Joanna's Fudge and a lot of friends.
Wonderful, beautiful. No calories. We always say, no, there's no calories.
Tonight at 10, we'll tell you how Joanna's Fudge materialized with little capital outlay.
Retail price in the beauty salons was $4.95.
George and Marion Wolf have a secret fudge recipe they've used for years, and they've had moderate success selling their fudge. The Wolfs have joined forces with Joanna's Foods and the Bradseth Group in Duluth. The goal is to help the world make quick and easy fudge at home for less than $5.
Sounds like you're sweet on fudge.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think Duluth will be sweet on fudge. I can remember as a little boy, I could remember the aroma of Arco coffee going up and down the streets. Now it's going to be Fudge Joanna's, and George Wolf is going to lead the parade. So.
Joanna's Fudge was kicked off in June. Since then, 37 people have found a job doing the hard parts of making fudge so customers can do the easy parts.
It's ambrosia chocolate, the best we could find. And you just put that into your boiling fondant and just beat it until it becomes smooth.
Joanna's Fudge was created with little capital outlay. Instead of retooling the plant for fudge, the fudge-making process and packaging were designed to meet the plant's current capabilities. The packaging is the same used for Joanna's pizza mixes. The marketing of the fudge breaks some rules as well. Instead of selling it in the grocery store, you can only buy it in beauty salons. That's right, beauty salons.
It just became so obvious that the beauty salon customer was our customer. And then we started working our designs and our approach directed right at her.
Joanna's Fudge can already be found in 15 states, and that quick growth is bound to make the folks in Hershey, PA, the current chocolate capital, a bit nervous. Michelle Lee, Channel 3 News.
During the Depression of the 30s, people were interested in seeing happy movies. With the advent of the atomic bomb, films about mutants and radiation sickness became popular. Horror films are believed to be somewhat cyclical, and right now if you read through the theater listings on any given week, you are apt to find at least 2 frightening movies. According to local theater managers, the people attending are generally between the ages of 15 and 25. The films are like fairy tales for adults, a little sex, some violence, and lots of blood. And there is one more very important reason for the appeal of these films.
One of the basic things that everybody has to do from childhood on is master fear. And children obviously do it through stories and through fairy tales where there's a child in danger, and Little Red Riding Hood or Hansel and Gretel wind up at the end coming out okay.
You are always able to identify the survivor from the beginning. According to Dr. Cowan, there is a continual need to master our fears and anxieties, so the popularity of Friday the 13th is understandable. It is predictable and repetitive, yet viewers get frightened, they jump in their seats, spill popcorn, and are relieved when at least one person lives. Jason is less frightening than today's very real fears.
It's easier to defend yourself against Jason than it is to have a whole series of movies about nuclear wars.
Mastery of fear seems to be the good which can come out of these slice and dice flicks, and they are only make-believe. Jason really doesn't exist. Or does he? Debbie Nerby for Channel 3 News.